I don't know that he may correct himself afterwards, but the video's out there. Anybody can see it. Now, those three things alone, again, and even the next thing, probably not enough. I interviewed a guy named Joel Gilbert, who's done several documentary films, and he was convinced in this last election cycle that
hi, could I get an extra large, all sugar-free bomb pop, please? And that's it.
I will have that ready for you.
Thank you.
And couldn't wait to get out of the situation. But at the same time, the machine was so great, and she was a figure that, they thought could win, that it was on the table. So he started doing this film where he went back to, I believe, her grade school, her high school, her college. He talked to teachers. He saw yearbooks. I believe he also showed on my show a picture of Michelle Obama as a teenager from a yearbook where she's like in a ballerina outfit or dancing or something like that. Certainly looks like her to me. Again, think it's all real. But the thing that set it off the most is a famous video of Joan Rivers coming out from officiating a gay wedding. Have you seen that video or heard of it?
No.
Joan Rivers, come on, you remember Joan Rivers?
Of course.
So Joan Rivers comes out of this thing and she starts getting asked about, she just officiated a gay wedding. Do you think that the United States is going to be ready for their first gay president soon? And she goes, oh, please, come on. And he's like, what? He's like, we already have our first gay president. Everybody knows that Michelle is a tranny. And he goes, what? He goes, Michelle Obama, she's a transgender. We all know it. Nobody cares. And that video obviously goes viral, right? Like, that's especially at the time, that thing goes everywhere. It's said that it's a joke. It never really gets clarified. I don't think that anybody ever put Joan on the spot about that. However, Joan Rivers was a plastic surgery addict.
Yeah.
Probably her biggest fault. Listen, I'm old like you. I'll be 47 in about a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to watch Joan Rivers even when she was subbing in on The Tonight Show in the 80s, right? A lot of people forget that. Like, Johnny Carson helped bring her up, and she's a pretty funny woman. She's Hollywood Squares, always on the E! Show, or E! Entertainment Network, all that stuff. And she went in for some more plastic surgery, and that's how she died. She died on the operating table. Let's fast forward to Rob Duke. Okay, now, again, this woman had probably gone through, and don't get me wrong, she's getting older, but something like 30 to 50 plastic surgeries of some type. I mean, that's not an exaggeration, guys. Like, she was always getting work done. Duke got a email that he believed was genuine. This guy was able to provide certain credentials and certain information in the email. And this guy claims to be in the operating room of Joan Rivers when she died. And he said, I do not know exactly what happened, but some kind of gas or liquid or something was used, and for some reason, out of nowhere, fire shot out of her mouth, like a fire-breathing dragon.
Whoa.
That was the quote on the thing. Now, I haven't looked at the autopsy reports. I don't know. I tend to, believe Rob Duke. I know you didn't make that up. As to whether or not that has anything to do with what you said about Michelle Obama, it only adds to the war, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, that's why I figured I had to come out here and explain it for people, so they don't just think, oh my God, this is coming out of totally nowhere. It's not, you know what I mean? Again, it's not that I'm saying that, Michelle Obama is the man. It's that you have a ton of circumstantial evidence, and then you have, people love a good mystery, right?
Right.
And when you have Joan Rivers come out and say something like that, and and the other stuff is already out, and it grabs these people's attention. Because I remember after she said that, before she died, people were making little clip shows of everything I just said, right? There were the two events of Michelle Obama dancing around and Barack calling her Michael. He may have even called her Michael twice. Now, I have my own theory on that. I think that he might just have, a boyfriend named Michael as well. To me, I don't think that's like a legitimate, faithful, monogamous relationship. Unfortunately, as most presidential relationships are not. I mean, you go down the line of recent presidents. Do you think President Trump has been faithful to Melania? I certainly don't. There's plenty of rumors out there right now that I think might have some merit. That even, Laura Loomer, the, person who can't stop warmongering for the Middle East, may have had something to do with Trump. Obviously, Bill Clinton, it's not even a question. When you get to George Bush, the second one, the W. The W, there is plenty of evidence that, again, the W is a closeted homosexual. He had court paperwork filed on him that I'm not sure if it was the D.C. Madam, but somebody, a female that went to college with him, claimed that she was at a party and she watched Victor Ashe, who either was in his fraternity, he might even been his roommate at the time. Let's just say him and Victor Ashe get down. Okay?
Okay.
It's out there. Again, anyone can go watch it. Now, pull back a little bit, and again, if you think that's so far out, remember that we had that show House of Cards. Did you ever watch that show?
I did not.
Very good show.
Okay. I'll check it out when I get some time in 20 years or so.
Well, I just say this. I don't even know if you can find it anymore because they banned Kevin Spacey everywhere, and that's another topic everywhere. But Spacey kind of played an amalgamation of different political figures. Everybody knows that Spacey spent a ton of time with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was asked about House of Cards, and Clinton actually said, the show's a lot closer to reality than a lot of people might think. And there are some things that go on in that show that are just, from murder, obviously to sexual relations, to even the powerful elite meeting at the Bohemian Grove, okay? They fit a lot into that show. And there is one particular episode
This guy is a joke.
where Spacey goes back to his old college, and he's with his old, fraternity brothers. Okay, now, we often talk about secret societies, Skull and Bones, for instance, the Yale fraternity. That is something that both Bushes are a member of. Okay, even Prescott Bush, generationally,
Right.
the Bushes have been members of. Now, in the show, everything's pretty normal and everybody's just kind of hanging out. And then there's this scene where Spacey is, lying down. They've all been drinking, and he's hanging out with this other guy. And the other guy starts, kind of grabbing him and starts talking to him about, that time. And basically alluding to the fact that they had a, sexual relationship in college. Spacey and his wife in that show, they end up having a three-way with one of the Secret Service agents.
Jeez.
Where
It's a little racy, Jason Purvis.
just telling you how this goes.
Rated mature.
This is the stuff that Clinton said, it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's actually, hey, actually that happened, and so here's the deal. Yeah, wow. Well, I want to tell you this. Did you know that the first gay president was actually the 15th president?
What's that? We're talking Lincoln? The whole Lincoln story?
No, not Lincoln. James Buchanan. The guy before Lincoln. Okay, so James Buchanan was what they called back then certified bachelor, and very effeminate. And his best good friend and close companion, William Rufus King, was a senator from somewhere but they were inseparable. They lived together in a boarding house for over a decade. And Andrew Jackson referred to them as Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy.
I always loved Andrew Jackson. He's got his flaws. Didn't like the Native Americans.
Well,
let's tell you.
Well, listen. Now we're turning into this a history show. That's fine with me. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and that you're absolutely right. What the Trail of Tears, despicable, terrible. However, I want everyone to remember that Andrew Jackson, as a 14-year-old Revolutionary War fighter, was taken as a prisoner of war by the British and the Indians.
Mm-hmm.
And who did he really hate throughout his political career? The British and the Indians. I'm just saying. And so, I'm sure, and I'm not saying whatever was done to him made what he did right, but I'm just saying he was a guy that went through some bad things as a young man, and that really dictated who he was as an adult.
And he was a tough guy, and he was about as pro-Americana as it gets.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
He's on the $20 bill for a reason. Did you know twice people attempted to assassinate him, and both times the gun didn't go off?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Listen, Jackson is one of those interesting characters, for sure. I was unaware of the Buchanan story. I was going to
check that out.
Yeah, I've heard the stuff about Lincoln. I've seen some of the letters. Who knows? Again, I'm not even here to judge. I'm just telling people that's how it works.
Yeah, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's people do your thing, as long as you're not trying to force your thing on everybody else. You know what I mean? Just do your thing with your people. That's all good. It's when they try to, like, this whole media transgender movement where we wanted to change the whole world over 0.04% of the population. That to me seems odd. Let transgender folks do their thing, but that doesn't mean everybody else has to.
I also think it's extremely odd that you would be promoting something where you're literally changing your physical biology. Instead of accepting people for who they are, encouraging them to change themselves on a drastic level. They say, oh, no, this is their true self. Listen, man, there are limits. We all have limits. We all have what I call biological limits. I'm not going to be on the Knicks, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not dunking a basketball. I'm also not getting in the ring with Derek Lewis, right? I mean, even if I trained my hardest and I became a top-level mixed martial artist, I'd have to fight probably at 155 or 170, and I would get killed by any heavyweight, right? So that's just one small example of limitations. I think you have to work within those limits. I think plastic surgery is actually one of those things that kind of, leads to you thinking that you can change all these different things. And you look at many of these people. I mean, look at what Joan Rivers looked like before she died. She should have had. I would have rather seen her with an old lady face than some kind
creepy,
of distorted. Yeah.
Like she's wearing a mask from, what was that movie Natalie Portman was in where they're over in England and it's all weird?
Swan?
No, where it's like, the guy wears the mask and goes around and murders all those people, and Natalie Portman's in the movie. Oh, man.
Missed that one.
No, you didn't.
Missed that one. Oh, I think so. I don't know that one. Is it Annihilation?
Oh, let me see. I'll look it up. You keep talking.
Okay. I guess.
V for Vendetta.
Oh, yeah, I don't have one.
That creepy mask. I mean, that's kind of what she looked like.
I think the V mask looks a lot better, actually.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you gave me a choice, like if I had to rock a certain face for the next, 5 years, it would be the V mask over anything Joan Rivers.
You're a creepy guy, Jason Murvis. I don't know. We are deep in the weeds of Jason Murvis. I don't even know what the hell we're talking about, how we got here, or where we've been. But here we are.
I think this was a fun one.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to the terror plot.
Oh, right? Yeah, the terror plot on the UFC fight. We're a half hour in. That was like the first thing. But I was just blown away. So the 19-year-old kid who looks, I held up a picture of this kid. I asked my youngest daughter, or I asked my wife, how old? She's like 34. I asked one of my daughters, 36. I asked my youngest daughter, she's like 56. He's 19. He's still living in mom's basement, and she's the one that blew the lid off it because he went out and bought $3,000 worth of ammo.
Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing, right? That's what you're hearing everywhere. Oh, we found guns. We found ammunition. Where are all the drones? Where are all the explosives that were ready to go? It's not real, everybody.
Right. Well, I think it was real to them. I'm sure one of them claimed to have some stuff, but they all claimed to have military experience. None of them did. I'm sure they all claim that they've been laid before, too, and none of them have. And that's just who it is. It's that kid from school.
Let's explain what happened here, okay? You're not wrong in the sense that these people maybe thought they were going to cosplay, right? So one of these guys probably shot his mouth off on some forum or some Discord or somewhere, okay? And an FBI agent gets a whiff of it. Now, they're talking about 19 people involved in this. They've arrested 5. I'm going to tell you right now that when all this comes out, you're going to find out like more than half of whoever was supposedly involved in the plot was either an FBI agent or informant. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Right.
That's what really is happening. So they get a whiff of morons, and instead of just going, straight shot to the baby maker, we've got this, let's get a warrant, let's end this. No.